The call lasted less than 3 minutes, but it changed 2 lives forever. A woman answered her phone expecting another routine work call, only to hear the trembling voice of a complete stranger who had dialed the wrong number while desperately trying to reach someone else. She could have ended the call in seconds, but instead she stayed on the line just long enough to offer a few comforting words. Neither of them imagined that only days later they would unknowingly sit across from each other on a blind date, completely unaware that fate had already introduced them through one unexpected phone call. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel so you can continue this journey with our family and our community. Lenora Ashcroft had spent most of her adult life believing that love belonged to other people. She worked as a museum conservator, carefully restoring priceless paintings while quietly accepting that some broken things could never return to what they once were. 5 years earlier, a painful engagement had ended when the man she trusted chose ambition over commitment, leaving her with a heart that healed slowly but never completely forgot. Since then, she filled her afternoons with work, weekend volunteer programs, and long walks through the botanical gardens instead of searching for another relationship. She had convinced herself that peace was enough. Across the city, Callan Whitford devoted every afternoon to raising his 9-year-old niece, Ivy, after his sister and brother-in-law were lost in a devastating traffic accident. Becoming her legal guardian transformed every part of his life. He postponed career opportunities, sold the apartment he had planned to renovate, and accepted flexible work as an architectural illustrator so he could attend school events, doctor appointments, and every important milestone in Ivy's childhood. Although he never regretted his decision, loneliness quietly settled into the spaces where his own dreams had once lived. One sunny Tuesday afternoon, Lenora's phone rang while she organized historical documents inside the museum archives. Assuming it was a colleague, she answered immediately. Instead, she heard the strained voice of a man apologizing before explaining that he believed he had reached his elderly aunt. His words stumbled over one another as he admitted he was overwhelmed after learning that someone very important to him had received difficult medical news earlier that day. Realizing he had dialed the wrong number, he quickly prepared to end the call. Something about the quiet sadness in his voice stopped Lenora. She gently reminded the stranger that difficult days often became lighter simply because another person was willing to listen. For barely a few minutes they spoke about courage, family, and taking one challenge at a time. Neither shared a last name. Neither asked personal questions. Before ending the conversation, each sincerely wished the other well. Then life continued. Or so they believed. The unexpected conversation lingered in Lenora's thoughts for days. She wondered whether the stranger had found the comfort he needed. At the same time, Callan often remembered the calm voice that had interrupted his worst afternoon with unexpected kindness. In a world where people usually rushed through life, a complete stranger had chosen compassion over convenience. A few days later, Lenora's longtime co-worker convinced her to accept a blind date arranged with a family friend. She hesitated, insisting she had little interest in awkward introductions, but eventually agreed after being reminded that meeting someone new did not require abandoning caution. The meeting was arranged at a small cafe beside a botanical garden on a bright Saturday afternoon. At almost the same time, Callan reluctantly accepted similar encouragement from his neighbor, who believed he deserved happiness after years of sacrificing so much for Ivy. Neither had seen a photograph of the other. Neither knew anything beyond a first name. Lenora arrived carrying a favorite novel. Callan carried a small bouquet of wildflowers that Ivy had insisted every thoughtful gentleman should bring. The moment their eyes met across the cafe, both felt an unexpected sense of familiarity. Conversation flowed naturally from the beginning. They laughed about childhood memories. They discovered a shared love for old libraries, quiet parks, handmade furniture, and afternoon picnics. Hours passed so comfortably that neither noticed how much time had disappeared beneath the warm sunlight. Then, while describing a particularly difficult phone call from earlier that week, Callan casually mentioned accidentally dialing the wrong number. Lenora slowly smiled. She remembered every detail. The museum. The mistaken call. The brief conversation that somehow felt deeply meaningful. Fate had quietly introduced them before either knew the other's face. Both laughed in complete disbelief. Neither believed coincidence alone could explain such remarkable timing. Their friendship grew gently over the following weeks. Lenora met Ivy during a community art festival where children painted colorful murals beneath clear afternoon skies. Watching Callan patiently encourage his niece revealed the quiet strength hidden beneath his reserved personality. He never sought praise for raising her. He simply loved her completely. Callan, in turn, admired Lenora's remarkable patience while restoring damaged artwork. She often explained that every painting deserved careful attention because even cracked masterpieces still carried extraordinary beauty. He realized she approached people with exactly the same compassion. Gradually they became important parts of each other's daily lives. Yet happiness rarely arrives without challenges. Several months later, Callan received an unexpected job offer from a prestigious architectural firm located hundreds of miles away. The position promised financial security and career advancement he had sacrificed years earlier. Accepting it could transform Ivy's future. Declining it might mean continuing years of financial uncertainty. Lenora encouraged him to consider every possibility honestly. Although the thought of losing him quietly broke her heart, she refused to become another reason someone abandoned their dreams. Meanwhile, Ivy struggled silently. After losing her parents, she feared every meaningful relationship would eventually disappear. The possibility of moving away from the friends, teachers, and community that had slowly become family reopened emotional wounds she thought had finally healed. One sunny afternoon the three visited the botanical gardens where their story had truly begun. Walking among blooming flowers, Callan finally understood something that had taken years to recognize. Success meant little if it required leaving behind the people who gave life its greatest meaning. Rather than accepting the distant position, he proposed an alternative partnership allowing him to remain in the city while contributing remotely. The company, impressed by his reputation and creative portfolio, surprisingly agreed. For the first time, Callan realized choosing family did not always require sacrificing opportunity. Sometimes honesty created possibilities no one expected. Months passed peacefully. Lenora continued restoring history one painting at a time. Callan designed community buildings that emphasized accessibility and welcoming public spaces. Together they volunteered at literacy programs where Ivy happily read stories to younger children discovering books for the very first time. The wrong number call became a favorite family story. Whenever someone asked how they met, they smiled knowing that life's most meaningful chapters often begin with interruptions we never planned. One bright afternoon, exactly 1 year after that mistaken phone call, Callan invited Lenora back to the same botanical garden cafe. Instead of bringing only wildflowers, he carried a small wooden box handcrafted from reclaimed oak. Inside rested a beautifully restored antique compass. He explained that although people often searched endlessly for the right direction, sometimes life quietly guided hearts together through unexpected detours. Lenora accepted the gift with tears of gratitude, understanding that the greatest miracle had never been coincidence itself. It had been two people choosing kindness before they knew whether they would ever meet again. Before this story comes to its close, we would love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment sharing whether you believe chance meetings are simply coincidence or whether small acts of kindness sometimes become the beginning of life's greatest blessings. Their journey reminded everyone around them that love rarely arrives according to carefully written plans. Sometimes it begins with listening instead of hanging up. Sometimes it grows through patience instead of perfection. Sometimes the wrong number becomes exactly the right connection because two compassionate hearts refuse to overlook an unexpected moment. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind us that every unexpected interruption may carry a hidden blessing, every stranger deserves kindness, and every new beginning often starts with the smallest decision to stay on the line just a little longer when someone needs compassion the most.